Okay, good evening. Thank you for coming. Calling tonight's council meeting of Borough PEAPACK and Gladstone to order. Can you please read the sunshine notice?
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of 2022 meeting dates was published in the Courier News and Burnsville News on December 9th, 2021, and posted at the Municipal Complex and the Borough Library. Action may be taken.
Okay, please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Caminetti?
Here.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Here.
Councilman Lemma?
Here.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Sweeney?
Here.
Mayor Skinner?
I am here. Thank you. Okay, public comments, 5 minutes per person for non-agenda items. It's the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. Comments may be made on any non-agenda subject pertaining to borough issues. Comments pertaining to public hearings should be saved for that section of the agenda. No debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to the mayor and council at the public microphone, or if you're online on your whatever device you're on. Do ask that anybody wanting to make a comment, please give your name and address. So, opening up the meeting to public comments for non-agenda items. Is there anybody online?
There are several people online, but I don't see
Nobody raising their hand.
anyone raising their hand or putting in anything in chat.
Right.
They're all related to the borough and Charlotte. Yeah.
Okay. All right, closing the public comment non-agenda item part of the meeting. Moving on to old business. Is there any old business?
Yes, I have actually one item of old business. As you know, we are registered members of the Hunterdon Area Energy Cooperative, which allows us to participate in a reverse auction bidding process for energy prices for residents, because we are government energy aggregators as a municipality. As you know, that cycle comes up repeatedly, a couple of times a year usually. The auction results came back unfavorable this time, which means we're going to sit this round out until the prices go down a little bit. And we'll revisit it when the next auction comes up in late September, I believe.
Does that mean we get billed directly by JCP&L at their rates?
We go back to their basic generation service, which is the default provider.
Okay.
To JCP&L, because that's a lower rate than the reverse auction results came back. So,
And John, go back, we've already gone back, so it just stays.
right. So, once we get the new numbers in, we'll revisit it and see. So I just wanted to give everyone an update.
Okay, thank you.
How often do we get those numbers?
We get them usually twice a year
Okay.
for the reverse auction, and then you close the deal by signing the contract, the supplier's agreement, until the next auction comes up. Because the reverse auction, if it comes up with a more favorable price, let's say you lock in one rate, 6 months later the rate goes down, you can upgrade or reduce your rate again.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the options that we have open to us. So
And pretty seamless between like the billing.
billing will be invisible
Yeah.
because it's just another charge. If you dig on your bill, if you look at the JCP&L bill and you really look hard for the generation provider, you'll see a different name because it's
Okay.
going to go back to
That's it.
their basic generation service or default provider. But it's still going to be, check that's made out to JCP&L or direct deposit, and they're still the ones who are managing the accounts and reading the meters and doing everything else. So it will be seamless and invisible.
Perfect, thank you.
So,
Thank you. Any other old business? Okay, seeing none, moving on to new business. Seeing no new business. Moving on to miscellaneous discussions and approvals. Art to Park request for partial closure of Lackawanna. Would that be recreation?
That's coming from Recreation.
Right.
I forwarded everyone the letter that I had received from the Rec Commission. I would have sent it sooner, except it wasn't until I saw it on the agenda that I realized that Dan had contacted, I guess, Nancy about it, because Dan was holding it in abeyance until Nancy came back. But I'm glad we have it for discussion tonight. Obviously, everyone who's been to Art Park knows that in years past, everything's all lined up on the grass along the path, and we're not going to be able to trample that.
No
So
grass.
what they're asking for, they're going to try and do a modified version, around the park, including part of Lackawanna Avenue, going up to Bevels. I ran it by Chief Ferranti. His only issue was that, was parking. And I said, it's gonna be like years past. I mean, people are gonna park on the street when they show up, or they're gonna have to pull into one of the municipal lots. I mean, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. So, unless there's any real objection, I'd like to get a resolution on the agenda for our next meeting for the partial closure of Lackawanna. And Jamie, throw it at the fire company for the car show.
And members of the park had contacted me in advance, and we can use the portion of the park where the top lot is, the old Park Avenue, that seating has matured. So I think it's a great idea. It's the best possible outcome.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, other than going to the parking lot and community fields behind, which it doesn't have the same feeling.
There's no real flow to that.
Agreed.
And you lose the people that might just be driving through town.
Yep. So I think it's a great idea.
If anyone has any parking concerns, we can also reach out to New Jersey Transit and use their lot, for additional parking that's literally around the corner from Lackawanna.
I suspect people might just take
But,
that
yeah,
on
they
their own.
Yeah.
There's no payment to parking there or anything, so it's an open lot, so
Right.
people just park there for whatever, so I think, they're good parking in there. So, okay.
Okay, good.
So we'll have a resolution on next month we don't need to do it tonight, but we'll have a kind of resolution. I'm sure we'll pass next month.
And I would count on planning for that layout. And
Yeah.
just be formalized at our August meeting. There's only one meeting in August.
Okay, anything else miscellaneous? Moving on to reading and approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes of June 28th. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, please? Second. Roll call vote?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
What is it called?
That's the.
Abstain.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
I abstain as well.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Do we have enough?
Almost didn't pass.
Yeah.
Do we have enough? 3? Okay. Okay, moving on to resolutions. Resolution 161-22, resolution authorizing award of contract to Appraisal Systems Incorporated to perform professional appraisal, inspections, and related services in connection with the 2023 borough-wide reassessment program. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 161-22?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution 163-22, resolution authorizing payment to B&K Construction for Liberty Park improvements. We'll have some discussion on that. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 163-22?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Don?
Yeah, so this is the next in the regular series of payments being made for completed construction over at the park. The difference with this one is some money is being withheld for a variety of reasons, which we've explained within the ordinance, but just for the members of the public. There was a page missing from the detailed reports that they send requesting payment, so we couldn't audit those. That was about $10,000 from the 152 that we had to take out. The second item was, there was prior discussions with B&K and us concerning the soil prep and the grass seeding, and we talked about that at the walk through the park. It did not get approved by the municipality, the engineer, the architect, and B&K agreed to withhold money for payment for that. So we've taken out money for those items that they've requested so far. There's additional money that they haven't billed yet. And then lastly, there is a large number of plantings that are dead or dying, and Carter Van Dyke, our landscape architect, did an inventory last week, and we have an accurate count as to what it will cost to replace those per the bid prices, and the cost to replace that has been withheld from this payment. So when you just subtract all those numbers, you come up with $104,028 versus their request, which was $152,505. Okay, we still have $90,000 we haven't paid them on top of the money that we're withholding, plus the performance bond. So there's enough in there to hold their feet to the fire. In terms of timing, when Nancy comes back, we're going to ask them to do the plantings now, but we're going to ask them to do the grass seeding the first 2 weeks of September. This may be a point of contention because it will be very expensive to reseed, regrade, and do the topsoil according to spec. But if they don't, we will take appropriate action to ensure they do it.
Is
Don,
it,
assuming this payment is made, what would be the total balance due on the contract?
About $90,000
Plus 48?
plus 48, so about 138 plus the performance bond. The cost for the grass seeding, it varies a little bit, but to redo the soil according to specs, of about another inch of topsoil, better grading, and to reseed is about $40,000.
Okay, because, I mean, if it was only the 48, I could not sign on to this, because these guys would walk away from $48,000.
Correct.
In a heartbeat.
Correct.
So, you know, so we've
So there's
got to have
more.
at least 10% of the contract, you know, in our pockets in order to get them to come back.
Yes, yes, and there is, so 138,000 out of about $1 million.
Well, the next payment's gonna be a little, that might be dicey, if, you know, if they don't perform a little bit better.
Right, so we have the August meeting, there's no deliverables between now and August. Hopefully they'll do the replanting by then. And then the grass seeding comes September, if it's not done. The grass seeding is honestly the only thing I'm truly concerned about. Just to give you an update from when we did the walkthrough in the park, the wiring is finished, we got the cut card, so that's been inspected by our electrical inspector. We're just waiting for JCP&L to hook up the wiring. And I think the only other thing we're waiting for right now are the benches. Now, to the credit of the vendor, they paid the supplier of the wood 10 months ago for the bench wood, and they're still waiting. And Brad, is there any update on when those benches are coming in?
No, there's no.
No update after 10 months. The spec called for the exact same wood, which is only available in Brazil. So it's taking an inordinate amount of time to get up here. But other stuff they have done, the fence around the top lot, you know, is a great example. We shouldn't withhold money for that because they did exactly what they said they were going to do.
And we should not be doing any maintenance on this
That is
until,
correct.
from the time from now, and from when they sign it over to us a year after that, whatever that date is.
So yes and no. So the contract calls, and Brad, correct me if I get anything wrong, they have to do the watering, okay? And they've arranged for watering every 3 days, Brad?
3 days, yes.
Yes, with the only exception being is if it rains, they don't have to water because it rained.
Right.
And they've been doing that as far as we can track it. Brad's been tracking it, and I've been tracking it. They're also responsible, I think, in the contract for 3 cuttings of the grass, but that's a moot point because the grass germination rate is almost
Is
zero.
the contract that specific, 3 days of watering?
So the contract is not specific, it just
You know,
says,
because right now with the weather being what it is, 3 days doesn't sound sufficient to get new grass in.
there is so much damage to the plants right now. I'll share its public information. 1,849 plants are dead. So it is not an insignificant number. And they have
Quick
to-
question about that
Including the ones
inventory.
the geese like to play with?
That includes the ones the geese have damaged. That is correct, yeah.
Quick question about that inventory. You said that Carter Van Dyke did the inventory and that we're using the number to replace those plants as part of the total amount that we're withholding. Does that amount that we're calculating include the labor?
Yes. So
Okay.
there were, I asked that same question, and that's the reason I know the answer. So there were specific lines on the contract for specific plants. Example, the plug plants around the pond on the gabions. Those are those little tiny plantings. The contract price with labor is $5 each on those. So we're not talking about a tremendous amount of money. I think that they didn't do well because they weren't watered as they were supposed to have been watered. Yes, there's some geese damage there.
And we've had a dry summer.
We've had a terrible summer, you know. So they're responsible for the plants for 12 months. We're going to lose more, but if we can get those 1,800 in, hopefully we'll get some rain and they'll take root.
And why are we doing more plantings now at like the heat of the summer?
So that's a good question. The plantings are more heat tolerant than the grass would be. So Lucinda, Carter Van Dyke felt that there's no reason we shouldn't move forward with them now. They don't have a better chance of survival because they're plug plants and not shrubs and trees that we would normally plant in the fall. Now, the reality may be that we ask them to do it in 2 weeks and they can't get here for 6. One of the things I'm cognizant of is the fences will come down in a year when their obligation to protect the plants is over. And the longer they wait, that clock, you know,
Is there a cutoff point where they couldn't plant the replacement plants? in the fall?
So for the grass, again, I'm more concerned about the grass. You could plant grass up till November, right? But I wanted it in early September so that in the wintertime, it's not a muddy mess. I think it's enough time for it to take root where maybe people can walk over it a little bit in the wintertime with a firm snow layer. For the shrubs and plants, it's, again, less of a concern. They're right on the gabions. As soon as the roots hit the pond, they're going to get a little water that they can possibly soak up. Brad, I'm sorry, Brad, did you have anything to add to that? No. Okay. The number of shrubs, I think there was only 40 that were dead, so that's of less concern. We can ask them to do those shrubs depending on what they recommend when they do the grass.
Yeah.
I want to get those plugs in there with all the fencing.
I agree with John's comments, like, if we do new plantings, this is gonna be the hottest month of the summer, very likely. I don't know if every 3 days is, if I planted a plant in my yard, I would water it.
They're still responsible for it, so if they water every 3 days and those plants die,
They have to do
another
it again.
1,800, they have to do it again and again and again.
I'm very good at killing plants.
Yeah,
3
there you
days
go.
seems like I could kill these plants with 3 days of water in this weather.
I do want to mention also, if any of you have driven by the park at night, the geese away system has been installed. These are these amber lights that are supposed to scare the geese. So we have to wait 90 days per the manufacturer's guarantee, and we'll see if those work. So Brad's crew installed those, did a nice job. There's one of them right in the middle of the pond, and there's a couple on the side, they're very innocuous, and the lights only go off in the evenings from dusk to dawn. So we'll see.
I have seen a lot of geese between the fence lines.
Oh, yes.
They just go right in there.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
So where the lights don't hit, the geese will show up, is that what Jamie's saying?
It's supposed to be a square footage area. They actually have a plat map with a calculation that they laid out where the lights should go, not us. We'll see. But they did say 90 days, because when there's goslings, am I using the right term? They're not going to leave. Right. We'll see.
John, a question for you about the number of plants that are dead, 1,800. So given the number and trying again on that number of plants, has Carter Van Dyke come back with like a Plan B approach of plants where it's fewer plants and?
They're sticking
Yeah.
with the plan, and I think they have to stick with the plan for a variety of legal reasons.
But, you know, I think because it's a bid project, we can't deviate from it.
Right. Now, I personally think in a year, we're going to take a look at the park. This is just Don talking on the council. There are too many mulched plant beds.
Yes.
And I think that after a year, it takes root. We could look at it and we could talk with Brad's team about the weeding and the aesthetics. It may make sense to say, we have too many mulch beds with plants. Why don't we get rid of this small area here? And we can thoughtfully maybe make more lawn space for mulch space. But right now, the contractor can't change anything because he's complied with the bid rules.
Gotcha. Okay. And one other comment, thank you for responding to that. Along Main Street, looking into the park, it seems like some of that existing vegetation is kind of overgrown.
Yes,
could
it
use
is.
some gardening across
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So we have not accepted the mulching, or we're paying for it.
Mhm.
Right? And the reason for it is they have to deliver it in a more pristine state. So it is overgrown, there are weeds, we're just not gonna pay it until they fix it. And the vendor was pretty frank, well, you know, it's mulch, it's gonna get weeds. Well, that's not what the specs say,
Right.
we don't accept it. So that's almost a rounding error, and
Yeah.
Brad's team with a couple of laborers can clean that up pretty quick, but he shouldn't have to, and we're not asking him to.
Right.
Can we have somebody, one of the concerns I have that was raised in Guy Torsalayer's email is if we do anything with the park, we're taking ownership of it. And to me, it's kind of like akin to, you know, if you do work on your car, you avoid the warranty.
Yes, it's exactly
So-
right. If we start watering, there's no warranty.
So we have, you know, so I think we have to be really cautious and know what our rights are with, you know, with the park based on the contract.
That is correct. So just so you know, we had a conference, Nancy, myself, had a conference call with John Bruder on Friday to talk about this very issue. John is preparing a letter to the vendor specifying these items and what has to be fixed and when. And let's give them the fair opportunity to respond. We did expect some death in the plants due to heat, and this is an exceptional thing. The grass, again, this is just unacceptable on so many different levels.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, Jamie, to your point, with the grass, you cannot touch it now until September. It's just going to die. It would be a wasted effort. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, I guess, right?
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Resolution
Okay.
162-22, approval of bills is signed and listed on the bill payment list. Can you read the amount just to make sure it hasn't changed?
$1,196,921.07.
Are there any items that need to be pulled for discussion? Okay, motion to approve Resolution 162-22, payment of bills.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to council reports. Finance, Mr.
Okay,
Sweeney.
well, this actually kind of rolls back into resolutions. I received an email today from Mark, who's not, unfortunately not with us tonight. There's been some delay in the tax bills getting printed up. My understanding is that the county's rate came out, it didn't come out on a timely basis, so the tax bills can't get printed, and they're not in the mail yet. So I have a resolution that I'm gonna make it from the floor, and I have a written resolution that can be modified afterwards to extend the late payment date until August 31. Versus August 10, which is the 10-day grace period.
Okay.
Due August 1, 10-day grace period.
Right.
So August 30.
And Judge, just stressing too, this was not anything we did or laid at, this was 100% the county certifying the rates.
That's my understanding. I'm not foreclosing the possibility that I mean, we're still working on, I think, some of the kinks with Montgomery, and I'm not foreclosing the possibility that we came in second or maybe even third in line, since GP's ahead of us and could be ahead of us, because they're handling Manville and PEAPACK Gladstone.
That's right.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be, I mean, I don't know, are yours going out?
No, we're late, but we're late for different reasons.
Okay.
That has to do with DCA and transitional aid and a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't apply here, so.
Okay, so
But the county was late.
they were late, okay. All right, so I'm moving that we making a resolution, extend the payment date to August 31, because the bills not gone out yet.
So will there be a 10-day grace period on top of the 31st?
No, if it's not in by the 31st, it's gonna be interest from August 1.
Okay.
Now, we actually, GP can back me up on this one, I'm sure, we actually cannot get rid of the interest. We can't give them a break on that.
Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Caminiti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dietrich?
Yes.
Councilman Lemma?
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Sweeney?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, council, yeah, that was council reports. Sanitation and sewer. Is that it for finance? Sorry.
That's it for finance.
Okay, sanitation and sewer.
So regarding STAB, the Regional Sewage Authority, we are still cautiously optimistic that that grant that Congressman Malinowski put in for us is going to be favorably received, so we will see. Regarding the capital improvements, Brad, I know that you've been deflected with other things, but you still have a large number of items to do on your list. Rates are stable for the rest of the year, and there's been no issues other than I'm noticing the inflow and infiltration rates after the rains are still, an issue. Is your team still doing the camera scoping on a periodic basis? Okay. So the answer is no new information.
Excellent. Borough property,
Nothing to report at this time, Mayor.
fire and first aid.
I did not get a report from First Aid this month, so I don't have any updates for them. The only update I have with the firehouse is, the firehouse needs new gutters, and, they've gotten a few estimates, including one from, Somerville Aluminum for $10,000, and, there was a generous donation from Valeri Home Remodeling, of $7,500 to go towards that, to the firehouse.
Yeah, but
They're one and the same.
They're a vendor, I don't know if they,
So they'll,
can we accept it, it would be my question, because the fire company, accept it under pay for play.
they're not gonna be the Somerville Aluminum is doing the work. So this is I believe he's a resident, Gary,
Simon.
yes.
Is he making a cash donation to the fire department?
To the borough for use by the firehouse for new gutters, not by,
I think, I'm not sure whether that's okay or not.
So John, they did it directly off the invoice. So you don't have this in front of you.
Oh, they gave a discount on the invoice?
It's on the invoice.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just says in-kind donation, $7,500 up to 10. So
Okay.
we only pay 2,500. John, to your point, if the money went into a separate way and came back, that could be an issue, but
Yeah.
they do what they do on this. And
So I understand they are commercial grade gutters, not residential, which
Yeah.
is currently on the firehouse.
Yes, that's what the invoice states.
I'm sure there are many members of the fire company that will have opinions on the gutters that are being put up there. We're never short of opinions.
Oh, but the ones that are up there now are residential gutters. Whoever put them up, and these are commercial grade gutters. Okay. Okay, that it for fire?
Yes.
Police?
Police, we have made progress towards the ninth officer. They basically have narrowed it down to two candidates. They're in the process of doing background checks on both of them. They definitely have a favorite candidate. Next week, we're going to try to get a meeting for Amy, Nancy Brutzker, and myself to sit down and meet with Steve and the number one candidate. So in August, we may be seeing another officer come on board.
And how's been the other new officer doing in his first 3 weeks?
Well, he hasn't pulled anyone in my house over for speeding, so far so good.
Yeah.
I've heard phenomenal things,
Oh,
picking
good.
up everything, just a natural. So, I mean, he's got a lot of experience, so it's he's working out very well from what I hear.
Great.
So,
I'm sorry that I missed his
yeah.
the meeting him.
And you have more important things to tend to, much more. Okay, that's it for police. Roads and transportation.
No report at this time, Mayor.
Okay, I don't have anything on zoning and construction, legal. I know we have a phenomenal stand-in attorney tonight, but do we have anything? Sound like Charlie Brown.
Oops, yeah. Didn't hear you well.
Nothing.
Nothing. I guess that's nothing. Okay. Administrators report.
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. And I have nothing for the mayor's report, sorry. Moving on to public comments. 3 minutes per person on agenda items only. It's the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. There'll be no debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to the mayor and council at the public microphone or via GoToMeeting. Again, if you'd like to speak, we need your name and address. So anybody would like to make any comments on agenda items only? Okay, hearing none. I see we have a Boy Scout in the audience, so I'd just like to welcome, are you here for a merit badge to observe a council meeting?
Community citizenship in the community.
Awesome, so hopefully, we didn't pull long.
Does he want to volunteer for anything?
Yes. Welcome, Scout. I was a Life Scout. If you're close to Eagle Scout, my advice is get your Eagle Scout. Everybody knows what an Eagle Scout is. Nobody knows what the other Scouts are. And it's a phenomenal milestone. Welcome to our meeting. So hopefully this helps you with your merit badge. So, sorry to point you out, but just wanted to recognize you were here and congratulations. Is there any further business? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody want to abstain? Okay, our meeting's now closed. Next regular meeting,
Yeah.
our next meeting will be held, and we only have one in August, on August 16th, Tuesday at 7 PM.
So
So,
there, I want to point out that is a record time for you, 20
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
In a one-meeting month, too.
I will gladly refund my council salary for the remainder of the hour. It's 11 cents.
Actually, I think we owe you money after the Liberty Park.
yes.
Yeah.
I'll give him I'll give him my 11 cents.
That's a variable that was not in your original calculation.
Well, pay me off with habit burgers.
I think you're gonna get more.